Hello, good evening and welcome back to In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post in association with Coral. It is show 2 after day 1 of glorious Goodwood, and unfortunately the weather caused a little bit of havoc with the afternoon. 32 non-runners on the day's card meant that a few of the races weren't necessarily run to plan, but we still had some clear and obvious superstars on the day. We'll be having a look back at that, and we'll be having a look forward to day 2 of glorious Goodwood as well, in the company of a top-class panel. My name is Ross Brierley. I'm in charge for the next hour or so, but of course it is your show at home. It is live and interactive. You could be watching on Facebook, on YouTube, or retweeting clips on Twitter. Either way, get your thoughts and feelings in, and we will put them up on screen and react to them as well. Like and subscribe the stream on YouTube as we get going for the second day of glorious Goodwood. But day 1, like I said, 32 non-runners, but a clear and obvious winner in the Goodwood Cup. We were robbed of that showdown once again between Trushan and Stradivarius, once again because of the ground, but the opposite way. Of course, the soft ground coming good for Trushan, who bolted up on the day. Other superstars as well were Rafe Beckett, who trained 2 very impressive winners in group company, and Holly Doyle, who thought it's an 8-race card. I'll just turn up for 3 rides and win on every single one of them. That and much, much more besides on day 1 of glorious Goodwood. So let's get stuck in to day 2. Of course, last night's show, we had a notable absentee, Graham Rodway, stepping in off the substitutes bench to play the Jack Grealish role. But luckily we are back to the starting 11. No offence to Graham, of course, he played an absolute blinder. But first name on the team sheet normally is Mr. Paul Kealy, but out with a golf-related injury.
Well, yeah, sort of. Yeah, I was playing golf yesterday, but I mean, I don't think people missed anything, because then there might have been 32 non-runners, but I could have done with 38. Look, so I had one winner, but it was only Trushan. The good thing of the day, managed to snaffle some decent prices about that on Sunday, but obviously could have done with Stradivarius running because he'd have won anyway. Yeah, it was a frustrated day. Otherwise, I mean, bottomless ground. The jockeys didn't know where to go, did they? In half the races, false run races, which you tend to get when the ground's really deep. Hopefully it'll be better tomorrow.
Yeah. What was better, the tipping or your performance at golf?
Actually, if possible.
Dead heat for last.
Dead heat for last. I was dreadful on the golf course yesterday. I'd been playing really well, but I was hopeless yesterday.
Well, it's a long week, Paul. It's a long week, so you're warming up. I can feel it in my bones. So a winner in a group race for Paul. He's usually the handicap master. Purest of the panel, of course, is Tom Segal, who I think we're all in agreement that Trushan would win the Goodwood Cup on day 1. Tom, unfortunately, it turned into a bit of a weak contest, but given how keen he was, still quite an impressive performance. What were your thoughts and feelings for day 1 of glorious Goodwood?
Well, I did manage to get Kinross home, so that was definitely my highlight. Without a shadow of a doubt, I love that horse. I think he'll be really good back at 6 furlongs. I fancy him to win the Betfair Sprint Cup, actually. I think that'll be perfect for him. Strongly run 6 there. I think he's a really, really top-class horse. Trushan had nothing to beat, did he? Aidan O'Brien's a wonderful trainer, but I don't know what he must be thinking when he watches those Derby winners trailing in behind Away He Goes and horses like that. They're a real disappointment, aren't they, Serpentine and Santiago? That was the disappointing thing for me about the Goodwood Cup. But the best horse won, as Kealy said, and as quite rightly pointed out, he would have probably won anyway. So with Stradivarius or not. So the good races went to the right horses. I think the right 3 horses were in the front in the Lennox. 2-year-old race was just rubbish, wasn't it? Let's be honest about it. They were giving 33 to 1 for that to win the Guineas. It'd be 333 to 1, and I still wouldn't back it.
Yeah, it was a bit of a disappointing vintage stakes with Lusail, of course, being withdrawn. Other things to mention, Tom, of course, Migration landing that first race. You look at a big field handicap like that at Goodwood, half the field came out, and the well-punted favourite won it, and he could be on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, he was really impressive, wasn't he? Once again, though, I didn't think it was much of a race when they all came out. They didn't know where to go. Whether did they? There was half of them one side, half of them this side. They're all doing the hokey-cokey, and no one knew where to go. But he was really, really impressive, wasn't he? He's clearly better now than he was when he was a 3-year-old. He has to be, because his 3-year-old form wasn't as good as that. Yeah, he's got a big future ahead of him, isn't he? Could see him, running in soft ground group races at the end of the season. One of those Newbury races over a mile and a half, maybe might be his cup of tea. So, yeah, he's one for the list for sure. He won easily.
Okay, well, let's see if we can find a few more on day 2 in the company of Paul, Tom, and of course, representing Coral and fresh from a day out at Goodwood today, it's David Stevens. How was your day on the track?
Good evening, gents. Yeah, first thing to say is it was great to see so many people enjoying a day at the races. It really did feel like a return to normality. And they were treated to some, decent enough racing. But as you've all said about, the non-runners did kind of ruin a few of these as contests. I was surprised Stradivarius was taken out, I've got to be honest. I thought could have gone through that ground okay. But again, I agree. I think Trueshan would have won whatever. I still thought his price odds against was decent enough. Holly Doyle has to take the plaudits. She was brilliant today. 3 winners, 3 rides, 3 winners, as you said there, Ross. And sort of mixed fortunes, really. Punter's got off to a great start with Migration. But Creative Force and Berkshire Shadow, 2 favourites, both beaten. But an early plug, obviously, for our beaten by a length offer on all Goodwood races this week. So if you did back Creative Force or Berkshire Shadow, you will get a £10, up to a £10 free bet, because they were both beaten by less than a length. So some good news there. Trueshan, the star act. And hoping that that's the end now for the rain and the rest of the week will be dry and we at least get to see all the runners that are declared.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of jockeys, obviously Holly Doyle, fantastic. It's a tough track, Goodwood, Paul, that's for sure. Some take like a duck to water. Holly, obviously, right place at the right time. There wasn't too much carnage in running necessarily, but you do get the feeling, like you said, that a few of the riders are looking for the best.
There was one or two you thought, hang on, he's in the wrong place, but you always get that at Goodwood, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Where is the right place, Paul?
Well, time and time again, it has always been come towards standside or middle when the ground's really soft. Now, if it dries out, it doesn't look like there's any rain forecast tomorrow. I think they'll all stay over the far side though, because on good to soft, anything good to soft or better, they will all stay there. But it's obviously being summer, it'll dry out an awful lot quicker.
Yeah.
If they don't get the showers, then we'll probably be looking at good to soft ground by the end of the day tomorrow. I don't think it was that heavy today.
No, that was the big talking point last night. How soft would it be on day 1 of Goodwood? It was still pretty soft, but it did tend to gradually dry out. We've checked the weather forecast, though. Is it? I think exactly 1.6 millimetres tomorrow, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what they say. I love these websites that forecast an exact amount. They're going to get 2.1 on Saturday or something, aren't they? But we shall see. I think
it's worth pointing out, boys, the time, Lord Riddiford's time was really, really good. It was only 1.8 over standard, wasn't it? 59 seconds. That was sort of a good to soft time. So maybe up on this stands rail, as Kealy was pointing out, was a bit quicker. That was the only proper race run over the sprint trip. And I don't think it was that bad at all for that race. It can't have been to run that time. The rest of the times were really slow.
Yeah, the rest of it, but part of the times from before was that when they think the ground's really soft, is they tend to go a bit slower anyway, don't they, and save a bit. So you end up getting times you think, that's definitely soft ground. But I don't think it looked like heavy ground, and they did change it to soft heavy in places after race 1. So I wouldn't be that surprised if it was good to soft by the end of the day, and it rides good to soft all day Thursday.
Okay, there we go. The usual fun and games then with a British flat meeting in midsummer. Will it be soft? Will it be fast? What will it do throughout the week? It'll be completely different by Saturday afternoon, I'm sure. Either way, we've got to try and find some winners. So let's crack on and attempt to do that with the first race of the day on day 2. Glorious Goodwood. We're on the round track again for the first one. 1.5 miles. The distance for a 3-year-old handicap, 0 to 105 in grade. This is always a good little contest, and it has attracted, once again, a very nice lineup. Nagano is 130 favourite here. Siskany is 9 to 2. Kealy 11 to 2. Pleasant Man 7 to 1. King's Prince 8 to 1. Is 10 to 1 Glen again. 12 to 1 Fabulous and Pied Piper, and then bigger prices the rest. 13 of them line up here for this Goodwood race, and again typically competitive. Paul, you were all over Surefire at the Royal Ascot meeting.
I was.
Shouting him home down the centre of the track. And his form is represented here, so it'll be interesting to see. It looked a good handicap. It's thrown up plenty of winners, and the front two in the betting here were behind him on that day.
Yeah. Siskany was good. Well, it's got some decent form to his name, and Nagano was there as well. But the one that I actually looked at the front of the market that got me was Kealy of William Haggis's.
Okay.
There were negatives in that I think it's very hard to win a Class 2 handicap at Goodwood on your first start in a handicap. And if you look at this race in particular, I think only 2 of the last winners had run less than 5 times. And only one hadn't run in a handicap. But he just looks really progressive for Haggis, and he's by Harzand, who obviously really likes easing the ground. And he's a half brother to a 1 mile 6 furlong winner, and he's stepping up in trip again to a 1.5 miles here. I thought he was interesting, but I have actually taken a chance on Recovery Run at a big price.
The Andrew Balding winner.
The Andrew Balding horse, who last year, when the ground was soft, was second to Lone Eagle in the Zetland Stakes. Got saddled with a mark of 107 after that, and obviously it was tried this year. I don't think he was right early in the season for one reason or other. He was well beaten in the Sandown Classic trial. He was only 5th of 6 in the Lingfield Derby trial, and then he was tailed on fast ground over 1 mile and 6, which would never have suited him at Ascot in the Queen's Vase. But last time at Ascot, good to soft ground, he actually only got beat a couple of lengths. And, I like a horse whose handicap mark is coming down while their RPRs are going up. And he ran 101 RPR and got dropped to 96 from 98. And I think if he's on the way back, the ground is obviously a plus for him. And now he's £11 lower than he started the season. He's a 22 to 1 shot. You look at that, be running second to Lone Eagle.
He also beat your old friend Pythagoras last year as well.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, everyone beats Pythagoras. Pythagoras isn't as good as it was, but Heights of Abraham was second in that race and is just about a stone higher now than he was. So I think Recovery Run is interestingly handicapped for this race. And the other one who ran a really good race at Royal Ascot on soft ground was Irish Legend, who was only just behind Recovery Run at Ascot last time, but was third to Fox's Tails over 1.25 miles there. So he's another one that could go well at a price, but the one I've backed is Recovery Run.
Okay, Recovery Run then in the opener then. Like I said, it is wide open. Loads of these have soft ground form. Tom, we mentioned the couple that run at Royal Ascot, but Kealy, Pleasant Man's got soft ground form. King's Prince has got soft ground form. Loads of them at slightly bigger prices as well. Like I said, Irish Legend, Recovery Run. So a lot of these should handle conditions. You've got a few unexposed types. I love a 3-year-old handicap. What did you make of this opener?
I like Nagano. Boring. I know I'm boring, but I thought... in that Duke of Edinburgh, I thought he ran a massive race. If you look at it, I think the first 5 home were all drawn in double figures. All those drawn low had no chance. He went too fast too soon from track 2. Those drawn around him have included First Light and Tashcan, who've both come out and won since. He beat them hollow, and he would have been a lot closer if Surefire hadn't knocked him over coming into the final furlong as well. I thought he ran a really big race there. I think he's stayed on the same mark. Siscani's gone up a bit, but he had everything going for him, Siscani, and Nagano had nothing go for him. I think he will reverse those forms, those placings, and it won't even be that close. Problem is you're only getting 100 to 30. Don't think, in a wide open race like this, I don't really like taking short prices like that, but I do think he's got a good chance. The other one I like is Pleasant Man, because he, like Keel says, I think that Ascot race was pretty good. I thought he finished just in front of Recovery Run. The thing is, he really likes soft ground, and he's a really strong stayer. And I think that will come into play. On his debut, he was very well backed on his debut last year. He's the son of Galileo, and he won. It was quite surprising for a Roger Charlton horse. He beat Pied Piper, who runs as well, but he was 50-8 to win a Haydock Maiden on his debut on soft ground, and he did it easily. Roger Charlton tried him in the Royal Lodge. He tried him in the Chester Vase. He tried him in all those proper races, and he kept blowing out. But then he had him gelded. Came back, won the Byberry Cup at Salisbury, which is always a good race, and then got trapped behind in that. I think it was a bit slowly run, that race at Ascot last time, and it sort of was really difficult to come from off the pace, but he finished best of all. So my 2 are Nagano and Pleasant Man, but I am very scared of Kealy, as Keel says, because it's a William Haggis horse that's won a maiden, and it could be any good. Could be. I think he might start favourite, actually, Kealy. I think he'll be well back tomorrow. But my 2 are Nagano and Pleasant Man.
Okay, there we go. A couple against the field. Then for Tom, Kealy Buriram was a horse that Paul's mentioned who stays very well and won in heavy ground. Other horses to mention, King's Prince I thought was quite interesting as well. Obviously Mark Johnston always runs about 25 horses in these handicaps. 4 winners from 28 runners in the past 10 years for Mark Johnston. He's got a couple here. Stephen Hughes, social comment. Like I said, this is live and interactive, so do put your selections up on screen and we will get them up there. Kealy in the 150 looks to be going places. There you go, Stephen. Well, let's hope it's... first past the post for you. And Kieran Catterson, here we go. Siskani looks a massive player. Had no luck in running last time out. He will love the soft ground and can bounce back with better luck. That's Siskani, who of course was fourth at Ascot last time out. I slightly dispute that he didn't have any luck in running. He did get a bit of a battering, but he was wide, which tends to benefit, but there's not much between him and Nagano. But his soft ground win at Sandown, that form does look pretty strong. So absolutely wide open stuff here, David. Is there any interesting market moves since the prices went up 24 hours ago?
Yeah, first thing to say, 4 places each way in this tricky opener. I'm with Kieran. We just saw there. I'm a Siskani fan as well. I thought he was a little bit unlucky at Ascot. So I'd be sticking with him, his form on soft ground, as most of these market principles do. Pleasant Man has moved 10-1 into 7-1. And just to recap, Kills is their recovery run, 22-1. Irish Legend, 14-1. The other one, Kills mentioned there.
Okay, there we go. 4 places on offer at Goodwood. Yeah, I think Siskani got a nice run through. I think the draw today might help as well. I'm wondering what the jockeys are going to do drawn very wide here. Not too many wide runners. In fact, the only couple of winners drawn wide in this handicap of the past 10 years were prominently ridden Mark Johnston runners. So held up at the back might be a little bit difficult for a few of these, but it is wide open stuff. Paul, tell us what you tipped.
Yeah, recovery run. I think it'll go well at a price.
Recovery run for Keels. Tom?
I've backed both Nagano and Pleasant Man.
Very well. And I will agree with you, David. And I think Siskani does have leading claims, even whether he was unlucky or not at Ascot. There we go.
Yep, Siskani for me too, Ross. I was saying when you said you agree with me. That's what baffled me. Obviously, when somebody said they agree with me, that's why I was stunned into silence.
Yeah, no, I understand it. And to be fair, I didn't even pose it as a question. I didn't really throw it over to you. It was absolutely shocking presented on my part, and I completely appreciate your bafflement there for that opener over at Goodwood. Well, let's move on, I think, to the Oak Tree Stakes, an absolute blinder of a renewal this season. The second race on the card, a huge field to go to war with here, 15 of them lining up, and Onassis has been backed into favouritism here at odds of 5-1. Bounce the Blues 6-1 with Vadream, 13-2 Valeria Messalina. Sacred does not go. Didn't necessarily want the ground too soft, and that one has been pulled out. Lavender's Blue is 10-1 with Highfield Princess, and 11-1 Isabella Giles. Bigger prices than the rest, and even though there are a few sort of 25-1 plus horses, they include horses rated in 3 figures like Lullaby Moon and Agincourt. So this is often a really competitive renewal, Tom, and this year looks no different. It's an absolute cracker.
Yeah, really, really good race, isn't it? I found this really, really hard, to be honest, Ross. I was going through it. I bounced onto Bounce the Blues at one stage, Isabella Giles at another. Onassis, who I think's been well back now, was the final one that I sort of ended up on, but I see he's been well back now, Onassis. But I thought Trap 13 was a slight worry for him on the over 7 furlongs there if the ground dries out. So basically, I found this a bit of a conundrum. I ended up on Onassis simply because he's got Goodwood form on heavy ground, on soft ground, and he's obviously a Royal Ascot winner. So that was the way I ended up, but I thought this was really hard. I think the pace is Highland Princess, and she's in 17, so maybe it won't be so bad for those drawn wide, if there's plenty of pace on. But for me, this was a carnage. I couldn't make head or tail of it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, there we go. Onassis, though, has been quite well backed. 7 furlong form here at Goodwood in bad ground at the back end of last season. But, I mean, you could chuck pretty much, I'd say 80% of the field in on at least one peak run.
Yeah, you certainly can. And one thing I'd say about the draw is you have to remember this race used to be run on the Friday when the bend is an awful lot tighter than it is earlier in the week. And of course, if they do come over and spread out down the middle, that will help as well. So it isn't going to be the disadvantage it normally is, because obviously they widen the course for the Stewards Cup after play on Thursday, and the bend is an awful lot tighter for Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be worried too much about the draw. Onassis, I backed earlier, but I mean the price has just gone.
Yeah. She's been heavy.
She's been very heavily backed. She's a heavy ground listed winner at Goodwood. She wasn't beaten very far in the champion sprint last year. She's a real eye catcher over 6 furlong on good ground in the York Group 3 last time as well. She's obviously primed and going to run really well, but one that's been a little bit ignored is Isabella Giles. I think she's run an awful lot better than her form figure suggests this season. She obviously won the Prestige Stakes last year by 7 lengths. It probably wasn't the best Group 3 ever run there, but she showed a real aptitude for soft ground. This season she started off, she was only beaten 3 lengths by Alcohol Free in the Fred Darling. She then ran a close third in the Group 3 at Lingfield on soft ground, only beaten just over 2 lengths by Rohan and Dragon Symbol on heavy ground at Haydock over 6. The only bad run is last time at Ascot in the Commonwealth Cup, but this is miles easier, and she's not really a 6 furlong horse. And I just think, she's got a real good each way chance at a double figure price.
Yeah, I was looking at RPRs over 7 furlongs. They're 109, 107, 105, whereas 6 furlong 4 mile form is absolutely shocking. So she's clearly a bit of a
I think she's a proper 7 furlong horse, and she has her conditions. And of course, you've got a big field. There's plenty of horses with a chance, but she was the one I came down on.
Okay, Isabella Giles then currently an 11-1 shot. Yeah, but tactically this could be interesting, couldn't it? That is the thing, because Highfield Princess, we know what she's going to do. She's in the form of her life. Is there anything else that might take her on? Like you said, Tom, there wasn't anything that obviously that I thought, this is absolutely guaranteed to give her something. Maybe Last Empire, perhaps.
Maybe, but I don't think that. I mean, she showed so much pace, didn't she, at Royal Ascot? I doubt if anything would want to go with her. Really, I really doubt it. But as you say, Trap 17. It's got to be a big worry for her. I mean,
Isabella Giles disputed the lead in the Sandy Lane.
Yeah. So, Isabella Giles seems to have tried every possible tactic going.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's only one front runner if she's that handy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think she will sit handy. I mean, I'm with you. I think she's got a very good each way chance. I just slightly prefer Onassis, although looking at the prices now,
they were the same price this morning, weren't they? That's the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, quite a few others in with a little bit of a chance. Valeria Massolina, of course, was chinned on the line by One Massa in this last year, but soft ground form, a bit short on the ground for that one. Vadream, real strong traveller, obviously been running some really good races. Bounce the Blues, never runs a bad race.
Last time, Vadream, wasn't she? She's second. I thought she was a good thing that day.
Yeah, I mean, she travels incredibly well in every single one of her races.
So. Yeah. She just didn't pick up, and I just sort of hoped she would. But
do you think she was?
It might just be as good as she is.
I did think that maybe Spencer at York, 6 furlongs, I think maybe slightly overcooked it, like referring to Tom.
Yeah, could have. Yeah, it could be right.
But maybe I'm being polite.
Yeah. I mean, obviously,
Bounce the Blues has got to have a chance, hasn't he, Keels?
Sorry?
Bounce the Blues has to have a chance. She finished around Isabella Giles at Lingfield.
Absolutely. Yeah, another line of form. She nearly always runs a race, doesn't she?
They've all got a chance. They've all got a chance in the Oak Tree Stakes Group 3, race 2 of tomorrow. And like I said, even at bigger prices, Last Empire, 3 wins in soft and heavy ground. Never tried this trip, but Camarilli Joe, who's a half-brother to Last Empire, improved and was beaten on the line over 7 today, in fact, at Yarmouth. So there is a bit of hope there. So absolutely wide open stuff. Paul, what's the pick?
It's Isabella Giles based on the price. I mean, she's twice the price of Bounce the Blues as well. There was a short head between them at Lingers, and she's won here.
Okay, and Tom?
Well, I agree that Isabella Giles is the price. I came down on Onassis, but she's not the price she was a couple of hours ago, that's for sure.
No, that is true. And David, this is absolutely wide open. We've got 15 runners. I would like 9 places each way, please.
You'll have to make do with 4, I'm afraid. Look,
it's not good enough, David. It's not good enough. I want 9.
I just don't have the authority to give that. I put a message on the screen. I've lost what I was going to say now. 4 places each way. Onassis is the... you wouldn't believe I actually didn't have a drink at the races today. Maybe I should have done. Onassis, the big mover, and easy to see why, of course. But I'm going to go with Charlie Fellows under the runner here, who you did mention at Vadream. 6 furlongs that was at York last time. I'm hoping the return to 7. She was 3rd in the Jersey. Let's have a Jamie Spencer special at Goodwood to make up for last time.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly those hold-up tactics will be a little bit easier to execute here than at speed favouring York. Ruby Price, watching at home, says, fancy Vadream and a Spencer special in the 225. Great show, lads. Thank you, Ruby. And David, Ruby is very much in agreement. And no Pitaya for Shannon. Says Lavender's Blue can hopefully rekindle its old form. Yeah, she's had some tough tasks, hasn't she, Paul? Down to this trip for the first time in her career.
Yeah, another one of those travellers that gets in all sorts of trouble and looks like she's going to win and doesn't. I've she's been a bit of a cliff horse of mine for a long while, and I've managed to kick it, so it might be the time for people to get on.
Yeah, that's usually the time, isn't it? Usually the time. So Lavender's Blue is a 10-1 shot. The Oak Tree Stakes, then, quite frankly, given that preview, I don't think we'll be surprised if literally anything wins that wide open second race. So let's crack on to the 3 o'clock at Goodwood. It's going to be fast and furious. It's the Molecomb Stakes here, Group 3 contest for the juveniles over 5 furlongs. And I'm not entirely sure how strong this year's Molecomb is. You often get a decent one wins it, of course, for Quinto a few years ago and the like, so you can get a nice future stallion out of it, but we have had some below par Molecombs as well. But we have a very short price favourite here, Edward Bethel and PJ McDonald, with a 7-4 shot in a juvenile group race. You've got long odds on that at the start of the season, but Fearby's been in fantastic form at 7-4. Chipotle is 7-2, Kaboo 13-2, Armour 8-1, Nymphadora 11s with Booney, and then 16-1. Bar those. Over to you again, Tom, first, because you are on record as saying you like the juvenile form, and Edward Bethel has made quite the start to the training career since taking over from his father, and Fearby currently looks like a pretty good standard bearer for the yard.
Yeah, he's done really well, hasn't he? Had another good winner at Redcar the other day. Out of Coolminks, Keels, you'll remember Coolminks won about 5 sprint handicap on
really
heavy ground.
Tough one, wasn't it? Yeah, really tough.
Yeah, on heavy ground form for Richard Fahey. So I don't think the ground's going to be any problem for him. He was really impressive at Sandown. Obviously, this is a much deeper race, but I'm not sure that Chipotle will run, for example. Eve Johnson-Horton was talking about having to have fast ground, and I don't know whether he'll turn up here because he ran very badly at Sandown on soft ground. I thought the interesting one was Armour for Richard Hannon, actually. I thought he ran okay in the Windsor Castle, one of those 5 furlong race, Norfolk, Windsor Castle, one of those at the Royal Meeting. I thought the winner, the Doncaster win at the start of the season, was actually a very, very slick time. That's one of the fastest 5 furlong races for a 2-year-old's ever there. It wasn't that much slower than they run in the group race that they run at the big St Leger meeting over 5 furlongs there. It stacked up very well with those times. Richard Hannon was on the telly today, and I was thinking he's going to say he's not going to run it because Armour won't like the ground. But he said he really, really will love the ground. He'll relish the ground. So maybe Armour's the one for me at 8-1 now. I was a big Fearby fan at the start of the day, but 15-8 is plenty short enough this is a better race than he won last time. And so I'm with Armour.
Yeah, Armour. An RPR of 89 on debut is pretty damn impressive for a two-year-old, and there's a lovely turn of foot. And No Nay Never, of course, a sire of Armour, who's got a pretty good record with his juveniles in soft ground.
18%.
There we go.
Wins to runs. I mean, that's really high.
It is. Look at that. Lovely assist to you there, Keels. I knew you were going to come in with that. We had Graham last night. Yeah. We draw stats and down. You're throwing in percentage strike rates for science.
Yeah, no. He's got a good strike rate, and it all looks like he's doing. I mean, the thing about Armour is that he went from that 4-runner race at Doncaster straight to the Windsor Castle. The first 4 home would all run at least twice. The first 2 would run 3 times. And he just ran in a 4-runner race at Donny, so he's running absolutely blind, only to be beaten 2.5 lengths. 2 months from a debut in a 4-runner race. And I don't know if you remember the super sprint weekend and how bullish Richard Hannon was about Gubbas.
Yep.
And before that, well, have a listen to this quote that's going in the Racing Post tomorrow, and he's on the website at the moment. He's a hard little 2-year-old who will love the ground. I like him a lot. He ran a very good race at Royal Ascot, has been working super. I think he has a big chance. I mean, they're obviously clearly bullish. He's 8-1 with Coles. Might even be second favourite at the off.
Yeah.
So I would say if you're watching now, get on. He's also got, whereas Fearby, who is obviously the correct favourite, has got stall 4. He's got stall 11 on the rail. So Fearby's sort of out in the centre somewhere, and he's got stall 11. And we saw that 5 furlong sprint when it came over towards the rail, didn't they? So he has a rail advantage too, and if he does love the ground, he's got to be a big player, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Armour is an 8-1 shot. Ryan Moore back in the saddle as well. Like you said, it was a big ask to go from one small field run, switch jockeys, go to a big field, go to Royal Ascot. It was there was a lot going on, and of course they split into 2 groups, and he was kind of a little bit isolated. So Armour, very much in agreement for our pundits. There, other horses to mention. We've got to mention Kaboo, Tom. I mean, what a move this horse was. Obviously, Nick Bradley Racing pretty much contractually obliged to have a runner in every black type juvenile contest going at the moment, but 2 very big runs from Kaboo. It's hard to work a horse like this out because we haven't seen it actually be able to do a professional job in a novice. So you're kind of looking at those placed runs in black type efforts and wondering whether he can actually put it all together and win.
Yeah, he was far too keen, wasn't he, at Sandown last time? He ran his race back to front. He did it all too soon and then didn't finish off his race. If he settles better, he's clearly got an engine. He was 15-8 favourite to beat Fearby that day. He's a lot better than he showed there. But if he pulls like he did at Sandown, he'll finish last. Because he'll just run his race too soon. But he wasn't like that at Ascot first time up, so maybe they'll drop him in and see what happens. But he's clearly got an engine, that's for sure.
Yeah. And a quick word on a big price. David, what price have we got Swayze, who I think has ghosted into the field at a big price?
Hey, I knew it was coming. I knew it.
There we go. We all got that one. That's more our era. 25-1 shot Swayze. Taking a bit of a walk in the betting actually today.
Yeah.
16, 20, 25. So let's correct that now.
Yeah, I don't know if it must be the ground, because I was really impressed with the performance last time out on Not Fast Ground. The figure was good, and Martin Mead is operating at a 50% strike rate, which is fairly remarkable. So I thought he could be a little bit interesting if handling conditions. Jesus, or Jesus, depending on where you're from, has got in touch. Fearby Canterzup, little emoji there. I love how our producers managed to get the emojis in. Is that how we're attracting new followers to racing? Who knows? And Luke Salmon says favourite wins, move on. He's bored of the preview, apparently. In fact, do the double with Poetic Flair, 335. Salmon is he's straight in.
I've just had a tip from Jesus as well, so I think I better actually get on.
I know, and we don't want to make him cross. Now, the Molecomb Stakes then. Paul, what's your tip?
It is Armour for me. Each way you're gonna get the place value as well. So yeah.
Okay, and Tom?
Yeah, Armour's the one.
Okay, and David, tell us about this race, because Fearby, the Edward Bethel battalions have been out in force, because this horse has been heavily backed over the past 24 hours.
Yeah, just firstly though, Kills, you should be aware that Jesus did not get it right yesterday. He tipped Spanish Mission, and Jesus should have known all that rain was going to come, and Spanish Mission was a non-runner, so don't trust Jesus.
Didn't he? And got his money back.
It's a very good point. Anyway, this market, earlier today, these were 2-1 joint favourites, Fearby and Chipotle. Chipotle, understandably, given the ground, going for a walk in the market. Fearby shortening up. But I listened to the case that the boys have made for Armour. That's good enough for me. I want to bock one of these selections today, so Armour it's going to be.
Okay, Armour it is at 8-1, and I will. I'll put Swayze in if he runs because of the ground, but also keep an eye on Nymphadora as well, which I haven't mentioned. A bit too quick at Ascot, but does have a chance on that Mary Gate form. So that's the Molecomb Stakes. Luke Salmon, we're moving on. I apologise for giving one of the feature races of the week a decent preview, but we are over to definitely one of the feature races of the week, the biggest field in the Sussex Stakes for the past 5 years. We've got double figures here, or have we? Battleground coming out there. I think we do just have double figures there with 10 of them lining up. We've got a battle of the sexes as well, because we've got Poetic Flair versus Snow Lantern and Alcohol Free from the 3-year-old brigade, and older horses as well. This is an absolutely fascinating clash. But Poetic Flair, of course, very much the one to beat for Jim Bolger. Even money at the top of the betting here. Then we've got Snow Lantern at 9-2, Alcohol Free at 6-1, Order of Australia and Lope Fernandez at 11s, 12-1 Tilsit. The aforementioned Battleground does not go. And then it's 18th Century Dream and bigger prices the rest. We did a social poll. Who wins the Sussex Stakes? Poetic Flair. 48% of punters thinking that Poetic Flair will win. Snow Lantern 26%, Alcohol Free 15%. So not too far off what the market is telling us. But Poetic Flair, I mean, fair play to Jim Bolger. Every single possible race this horse could have turned up in this season he has, and he's he's done his trainer proud.
Yeah, I mean, he said he was really tough, and it looks that way. And, let's face it, I mean, there's a 4 to 9 chance if the ground's fast, isn't he? Surely. Because he blew everybody away at Ascot. He looked really, really fast. And, do you think that the price has moved to a backable price because of the ground? Well, I don't think the ground was that bad anyway. Even money about a horse that good. I mean, he's officially £7 better than the 2 fillies. Yep. He's got plenty of decent soft ground form. Not quite as good, is it? You know what I mean? And I think he'll win. I mean, I was scrabbling around trying to find some sort of each way bet, and I ended up coming down with the Andre Fabre horse, Do Hail.
Right, okay.
Simply, I didn't know a great deal about it. I watched some of his form. He ran in a couple of 7 furlong races last 2 times, favourite each time, beaten, typical French races going in a crawl. But he hasn't finished out the first 2 for 6 starts. He likes soft ground. I think that if he'll get a decent pace at this, and on official figures, he ain't far off the rest of them apart from Poetic Flair. Andre Fabre has, I think, 21% strike rate in Britain, and almost all of his horses that run in Britain go off at single figure odds, let alone 25 to 1. And it's just interesting that he's come over.
Actually, given the the scenario we find ourselves in, it's probably a bit more of a hassle to sell.
Yeah, exactly. You've got Brexit to deal with, you've got COVID to deal with. Then he's still coming in. Well, yeah, sure, I can understand that. Yeah.
At the start of the season, he wrote in his one of his columns that Do Hail was going for the Sussex Stakes because it's the owner and they want a runner and they haven't got anything else. But they did give him a big positive mention nonetheless. I mean, this has been the plan all season long for Do Hail. I know that. Yeah. So he's been trained for the race.
Yeah, and he's been running around some good horses. He's finished ahead of the Revenant and Victor Ludorum. So
ground is perfect. So I've had a small each way bet on him, no more than that. I think Poetic Flair will win. I think Jamie Spencer is probably bang on perfect for Snow Lantern. If they get as strong as place, I'd imagine Order of Australia might try and make it. And I think Snow Lantern will finish ahead of Alcohol Free.
Century Dream shouldn't be too far away.
Oh yeah, sorry, Century Dream. So there could be a bit of pace on it.
Yeah.
There could be a bit.
I think there's going to be loads of pace, guys. And I went for Snow Lantern for that reason. I thought Poetic Flair is going to go from the front. Order of Australia has to go from the front, and Century Dream goes from. I thought it was going to be a real burn-up. Now, when I think that, it tends to be the opposite thing. The opposite tends to happen. But I haven't mentioned it. Don't worry, I haven't.
Good. It's one of the big mistakes we make, isn't it? Mentioning pace in the paper. The people read it and you tell everyone it's going to be really fast, and then one horse gets an easy lead, doesn't it?
That's always what happens. So I didn't mention that. I'm just hoping that that's what happens, because I think Snow Lantern's getting better. I think she's bifrankle, which is not a bad thing these days, is it? And I just thought if she handles the track, she likes the ground, she'll be finishing off strongly. I thought the race might be run to suit. Poetic Flair, whatever anyone says, his 2 standout performances have been miles better on fast ground than he is on soft ground. He has to be. That Irish Guineas form is absolutely useless. It's not worth the paper it's written on. How he couldn't beat that stablemate of his is that will go down in one of the annals of history, how that happened. But it had to be the ground. His form in France on soft ground is rubbish too. How he managed to finish 5th behind maidens in France, I'll never know. Now, he did win a 2-year-old race at Leopardstown, didn't he, on soft ground? But he made all the running that day, and he was just taking on massive inferiors. If he gets taken on here by those 2 older horses, I think he could struggle. I mean, I think he's clearly the right favourite. If the ground was fast, he'd be, as Kealy says, 4 to 9. But I don't want to back him at even money or whatever he is on soft ground against these. And I think Snow Lantern is a very good filly. I think she's getting better. I think she's much the best of the mile fillies, and she'll prove that. I just think she's getting better fast. I think the race will be run to suit, and I think Spencer's the perfect jockey for her. So I thought, I don't know what price she is now, but around 6 or 7 to 1, she was a decent bet at halfway through the day. 9 to 2, I'm probably not quite so keen, but I still think she's going to run really well. And if something beats Poetic Flair, I think it'll be her. And worth pointing out that the 3-year-olds this season, everyone was denigrating them for ages. They've won the King George, they've won the Eclipse, and they came first and second in the Falmouth too. So those are the only Group 1 races we've had against the older horses in Britain, I think, and they've won them all.
Yeah.
Oh, man. July Cup.
Yes,
July Cup. Well, that's a sprint. We don't include sprints. Sprints are for rubbish.
Different kettle of fish.
Yeah, that's sprint.
3-year-olds over the past few years, obviously, there's not too much between them, but 3-year-olds 5 from 26 in the past 10 years, older horses 5 from 41, so there definitely is a better percentage strike rate to 3-year-olds. Two Darn Hot, the Gurkha, Kingman, Toronado, Frankel all won this race from the classic generation. There's been
a stack of pretty rubbish older horses year after year lately, though, as well, isn't there? Like, you know, and it might also be the case again, and the 3-year-olds will be 1, 2, 3, but. Yeah. But, you know,
it's probably when you retire all your best horses at the end of the 3-year-old season, that tends to be the case,
doesn't it? Yeah, exactly. So, you know, they've got more than the weight advantage. They probably often go in there with a class advantage.
Absolutely. Social comments coming in then for tomorrow's feature race, the Sussex Stakes. Shifty Lad has got in touch. Does Poetic Flair get the recognition he deserves? Question mark, question mark, question mark. He is very incensed. Bit of the iron horse about him. I almost wonder if it, wasn't a Jim Bolger, if he didn't have the profile. If he'd been a bit more selective with his runs, if he'd just take out his features, he could be 1 to 2
the race tomorrow, and we will look at it and say, what on earth was that horse doing at evens? Because,
yeah.
you know what I mean, that Ascot form, Ascot run was sensational, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean, I couldn't believe he was only rated the equal of Palace Pier after it, because he just looked so good. And if he gets fast ground, if Palace Pier had lined up here and it had been fast ground, I'd have absolutely lumped on Poetic Flair.
I did. I took the 4 to 1.
Did you?
I took the 4 to 1.
Superstar.
Yeah, but I'm a little bit worried now because of the ground. But I think on fast ground,
you threw that in late, Tom. He's sitting on a 4 to 1 anti-post ticket. Yeah. There we go. And you got it against.
I have written about it on many, many occasions.
No, I'm not disputing it.
Unfortunately.
I mean, look, he didn't get the best of runs at Longchamp when he was 6, but he wasn't beaten far behind Basilica, who was a bit of a superstar on soft ground anyway.
Yeah.
And only beaten ahead by Max Swinney, who is, again, another really, really good soft ground horse.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair to Max Swinney, he's been lumped. He's been running unsuitable races.
Exactly. Like, so you're talking about getting close to some very, very good horses on soft ground. Obviously, we won on soft and heavy last year as well. So yes. He's a good thing on fast ground, but he's certainly still the one to beat on soft ground.
He is. Matt Gardner agrees as well. Poetic Flair would be shocked if it got beat. Probably the best miler in Europe, says Matt. And Peter Newcomb, Tilsit, good each way bet. Yeah, just a quick word on Tilsit. Obviously, Goodwood winner last year, but he has taken his form to a new level on softer ground, Tom. So that could be the key for Tilsit.
Could be. I still think he'd be better on first ground. His pedigree's all fast ground, but clearly handled it the other day. So, yeah, he's getting better, isn't he? He ran a good run in France, wasn't it? Especially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they've always thought he wanted decent ground, but that was a good run at Ascot last time, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's the thing. They pulled him out on soft ground when he was younger, but good to soft at Longchamp and Ascot have been his 2 best runs by miles. So who knows?
Well, there you go. I mean, look, Stradivarius doesn't like soft ground, does he? Got pulled out today.
Yeah.
What did he win the Gold Cup on?
Yeah, I think it's more not that the ground was unsuitable, but the ground was suitable for rivals. I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, look, he probably deserves a little bit of looking after. He's a 7-year-old, and they want everything in their favour. Fair enough, but I mean, don't keep making these nonsense excuses about the ground, because the form book says it's absolute rubbish.
Yeah. There we go. Nonsense, says Paul Kealy. There's the headline. David, move us away from nonsense and give us some cold, hard facts. What's going on in the market for tomorrow's feature race? And I hope you've got a price boost up the sleeve of that crisply ironed shirt.
Of course we've got a price boost for this race. But a Poetic Flair, easy to back, was odds on. Obviously, the ground is coming into play there. It's been Snow Lantern shortening all the time, 6, 11 to 2, 5. 9 to 2 there, that one. But great news, Keels. I'm with you on the French Raider. And I know Monsieur Fabre has said that the owners want to run, but I'd say Monsieur Fabre is probably about the only trainer in Europe who doesn't tell him, does what his owners tell him to. I'm sure it's the other way around. They would not be bringing him over for the proverbial day out. Jim Crowley rides, obviously, you can read Jim's comments in his blog. But basically, Monsieur Fabre wanted a patient jockey. That's how it was described. So Jim said that's exactly how I'll be riding him. He'll be held up and ridden patiently. So, yeah, 25 to 1 against... Look, Poetic Flair is a brilliant horse, there's no question. I think there is a question mark over the ground in this sort of company. But if you do like him, and there's plenty of love for him, to win the Sussex Stakes by more than 2 lengths, was 5 to 2, is now 4 to 1. So if you fancy Poetic Flair to repeat his brilliant victory at Ascot, 4 to 1, he wins by more than 2 lengths.
Okay, Poetic Flair to win by over 2 lengths, 4 to 1 out from 5 to 2. And to be fair to the horse, he has won what have we got? Two races, two and almost one other race as well. A seasonal reappearance in that Guineas Trial by 2 lengths as well. So it's certainly possible for a horse of his quality. He is even money favourite at Goodwood. Before we move on, of course, we've got 3 more races, but this is such a good race. This is a Group 1 mile contest, Paul, and we haven't mentioned either of the Ballydoyle runners.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, all of Australia obviously won the Breeders' Cup last year on firm ground. I don't think he's been quite the same form this year, has he? I know he was second last time. But I don't think he's good enough, to be honest. I've never really rated him. It's one of those. Can you fluke a Group 1? I suppose you can. I think that's what I thought it was. He's just.
I mean, he can, but
he's just not for me. Lope Fernandez isn't good enough, is he? And he don't really stay a mile either. On soft ground.
11 Group 1s he's running and been beaten in Lope Fernandez.
Yeah.
But 12th time lucky potentially at 11-1 for Lope Fernandez. That's what they say. If you've got to, first you don't succeed, keep trying 10 more times. That's the feature race of day 2 then, the Sussex Stakes. Pretty much everything in the field covered there, just about anyway, for the big race tomorrow. We've got 3 more races, of course, on the card. It's just a 7-race card at Glorious Goodwood on day 2. And although the 410 isn't necessarily a black type contest, it certainly has the quality of one with the first 4 in the betting. And Flotus is top of the market here at odds of 7-2. Canonise 9-2, 11-2, Illustrating Anadora 6-1, and Vertiginous 7-1. Frank Keller 8-1. LaFale and 14-1. Bar those. This is a relatively new introduction to the week, Tom. But if you told me this was a listed race or a Group 3, it wouldn't take much to surprise me. This is a really strong lineup for this conditions race.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, nearly all of them have run in group races, haven't they? A couple down, obviously Floaters start. I think, did Floaters start favourite for the Queen Mary?
It did in the end. Not for the Queen Mary, for the
Albany. Yeah, and Illustrating ran well in the Queen Mary. It's clearly a very good race, and it could easily be a group race. Flo's got a bit to prove now. I know she won very well here on her debut, didn't she? But the form's not brilliant.
She's a breeze up has gone the wrong way, hasn't she?
Yeah, so I'd be against her, I think, at the prices, especially on the ground. I thought Illustrating was quite interesting. Joe horses tend to like soft ground. He's out of Maid's Causeway. Do you remember Maid's Causeway won the Coronation Stakes when it was run at York? Problem with that is that Maid's Causeway was definitely a fast ground horse. So
it was rock hard that year at York, wasn't it?
It's mixed messages in the pedigree about that. She's by Giant's Causeway as well, Maid's Causeway. So got to be a doubt about her on the soft ground, although Showcase do like it. Vertiginous ran very, very well in the Queen Mary, showed tons of pace. I know she's a maiden for Brian Meehan. Oasis Dream, once again, worried about the ground, but I thought if she handled the ground, she could go well. I thought she was a big eye catcher at Ascot, considering her price and her profile. And I just thought maybe she might present a bit of value in this race against the ones at the head of the market.
Okay, there we go then. A wide open condition stakes here at Goodwood. I mentioned a few there. We didn't mention Canonised, who I really like in this race. The Dam won a couple of times in desperate ground. She won here at Goodwood as well. The perfect kind of weaving through a passage at Goodwood and showing a nice turn of foot. I thought Canonised was very interested in this race.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I mean, I haven't mentioned the 2 that I'd narrowed it down to as well. So it's like that. I mean, Anadora, I thought she ran pretty well in the Albany. I know she was only 7th, but it was a big step up from what she'd done before. That was on soft ground. But the one I'm really interested in is LaFale, who won at Beverley on soft ground. 14 to 1 shot there, but really won with plenty in hand. And, it's by Acclaim, soft ground the foray winner. And a half sister, Ross Colin, who's been really, really progressive this season, started his winning run on soft ground at Goodwood too. So I think that we already know that she handles the ground. She'll probably handle it better than most, and come on for that debut win.
Okay, it's a big step up.
Of course it is. Yeah. But I mean, all these horses have to step up at some point, don't they? Like, we get loads of horses that run only once, end up running in Coventries and Windsor Castles and that. So
that's right. And the point to back you up, Keels, Richard Fahey's horses like that, similar ilk, went to Royal Ascot. One won the Norfolk, didn't it? And one was second, third in the Coventry. So.
Yeah, I think the Coventry one had a couple of runs, hadn't she? But Perfect Power had only run a couple.
They'd only had 2 runs. They'd only won a silly Northern Maiden, hadn't they?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So that's pretty much, again, most of the field covered here for this 410 because it is an absolute cracking renewal. Quick word on the only other one it's at single figures we haven't mentioned, Tom, is Anadora, who has been Sorry?
I
You
mentioned
just
that.
mentioned
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
7th to Sandrine and the Albany.
I apologise, I drifted off.
Soft ground, big step up.
I was envisioning Canonise coming from last to first, so I was already looking at the race. All right then, well, we've mentioned them all then. Fair enough.
You haven't mentioned Sienna Bonny, who I have bought now.
Yeah,
And I will never be buying her again. She's off the list.
she's run in every single possible race, hasn't she? That she could turn up in.
Yeah, well, you can't be tipping her because she wants fast ground, doesn't she?
33 to 1.
On everything else.
Okay, there you go. I guess we must mention quickly Willoughby Bay, who's been quite well backed. David, I'll come to you for that one actually, because we've got a field full of horses who've shown really rock solid form in some very nice listed and group races. Yet there's been quite a bit of money for a Charlie Hills newcomer.
Yeah, in there at 14 to 1. I'm just going to mention Anadora because no one has yet, I don't think. So we'll just give Anadora a mention. Look, Floaters has got to be taken on as favourite. I think she's got a real point. She's somehow gone backwards, I think, after winning here at Goodwood. And Keels, this just gets better this night. I feel like on Countdown, I should show you my notes first, but I'm a Lafayette fan as well. Richard Fay obviously stepping her up here, but clearly thinks she's capable of it. And she's got that form on soft ground. So 8 to 1 each way there. This could be our day, Keels. This could be our day where we chop it off together.
Okay, lovely stuff.
I hope so, mate.
Good luck, guys. Good luck. Although, admittedly, if it is Countdown, that does make me Anne Robinson. So, never mind. The Fort Head of Goodwood, then what wins?
You be rude to people, then, don't you?
That is true. That is true. I'm going to have to entirely change my demeanour.
Yeah, Lafayette.
Lafayette it is. Well, let's hope it doesn't. Tom?
I will take a chance on the Vertiginous, or whatever it's called.
Vertiginous, oh boy, vertiginous.
Thank you very much, David.
And that's picking you up for all that stick I've had over the years for saying David Menuisier.
There we go. You've been schooled. You've been schooled. And I'll go with Canonise then in the 410 farthest wide open condition stakes at Goodwood then. 2 races to go, but you didn't mention the price boost, David.
I tell you what, thank God you're on the ball there, Anne Robinson.
I'm not, but it came up on the screen, so I see
all that free wine at Goodwood. See that you said you hadn't really drunk.
The free one I had to turn down, Kills, most upsetting. Anyway, yes, Floaters or Canonise to win here in this race was 6-4, now 7-4. If you do fancy the 2 current market leaders.
Lovely stuff. 7-4 out from 6-4 for either of the 2 market leaders to win the 410 at Goodwood. We've got 2 races to go then on day 2 of the glorious meeting, and another filly's handicap. If you've got a filly who likes Goodwood, you've got plenty of opportunities this week, that's for sure. 10 furlongs of distance here for this 0 to 105 contest, and a lovely shape to it as well. Dead 8 runners in a handicap with a short price favourite. Perfect. Kealy is the favourite at 15 to 8. Timeless Soul is 4 to 1. Percy's Pride 5 to 1. Fraser is 6 to 1. 15 to 2. Prado 8 to 1. Seattle Rock 12 to 1. Anti-Ridey and Kaleidoscopic the 14 to 1 outsider of the lot. Wait for the Lord does not go. You are a handicap lover, Paul Kealy. 8 runners each way. Surely there's something in here.
Yeah, simple. Timeless Soul wins this, isn't it?
3 runs. Moving on.
3 runs, 2 defeats on Good to Firm. Short price last time. In between, a very, very easy winner at Beverley in a maiden race on soft ground, which is what she won. I'm sure she wants. Won by 2 1/4 lengths from Dancing to Win. Pair 17 lengths clear. The runner-up won by 13 lengths on Monday. The 4th is actually unbeaten in 3 since, albeit 20 length 4th, albeit Sir Mark Prescott special a mile further. But yeah, I just think she's, she is going to really enjoy the ground and prove a very well handicapped off a mark of 84.
Okay, Timeless Soul then it is 4 to 1. Easy does it. Each way Thievery in the 445. Tom, what did you make of this? Are you with the unexposed type, or have you got something a little bit more exposed?
I thought the market had it about right. I thought Aishlois. Is that right, Dave? Before you pick me up on that one, the favourite Sophony out of a Saddle 12 mare. She'll love the ground. She's in form, but I like Keels, that says. So the only thing I've got slightly niggling in the back of my mind is she's been off since the start of June and just had plenty of opportunities. Maybe they've been waiting for soft ground, but if they've been waiting for soft ground, they seriously got lucky here, didn't they? Because they wouldn't have expected it to be soft when they entered her. I think she's got a very good chance. The one at a price I thought might run well is Kaleidoscopic for Mick Shannon and Sylvester D'Souza. Very good record when D'Souza rides her. Got a good record for Mick Shannon, and she loves soft ground. She last couple of runs have been a bit further on much quicker ground or softish ground, but not quite like this. And I think she could bounce back at an each way price with the dead 8. But I think one of the 3-year-olds down the bottom will probably win it. One of the 2 at the top. But if I was having a bet, it would be Kaleidoscopic each way.
Okay, 14-1 Kaleidoscopic. The favourite, Tom, Kealy, a minor Greek goddess who translates as she who washes away pain.
Lovely. Lovely.
It's amazing what you can find out when you quickly Google something, isn't it?
You've got a computer in front of you.
Yeah,
You got a number.
I mean, she's a short price favourite, so I'm sure for quite a few she might be one who washes away pain if she wins by the 4:45. I quite like the look of Percy's Pride here as well. Very much on the upgrade, really tough and battling win last time out over Goulwa at Ascot. Should handle conditions and looks quite well handicapped on some of her old form, including a 5th to star and friend of the show Pythagoras last year at Pontefract. So dead 8 runners, Kealy, top of the betting here, David. What's the story of the market?
Kealy, what is she? She who washes away pain. I think we might all be needing that by 4:45 tomorrow. She's 15-8, very strong from 2-1. Timeless Solder boys have made a good case for their 4-1. And this is where the show went wrong yesterday in these last couple of races. And I've got nothing to add to what they've said for fear of ruining the show again tonight.
Thank you, David. Lovely stuff there for the 4:45. But let's move on to the finale then. Easiest race of the day, absolutely. Just the 20 runners in a 7 furlong 0-95 handicap. It's an absolute blinder for the finale, but this is sure to be in running carnage. 5-1 the field here. Sunset Breeze for Sir Mark Prescott and Luke Morris heading the betting ahead of International Dream, Fox Champion and Desert Doctor, all at 17-2. 9-1 Epic Endeavour, Corvair and Tintoretto. 10-1 Lamachina and bigger prices the rest. Paul, this is your kind of race. It's a 7 furlong Goodwood proper burn-up. They're going to be spread out all over the track. What are we backing?
Yeah, narrowed it down to a couple. Epic Endeavour, back on soft ground, 2-time soft ground winner last year. Cheek pieces first time, didn't run so well last time, but ground was wrong. And Magical Wish, second in the race to Toro Strike, stablemate last year off a mark of 94. Second again at the track on soft ground, beaten ahead a month later off 97. Down to a mark of 90 now. Didn't run too badly on quicker ground last time at Lingers. And I think everything will be in place for him to run really well here.
I can't quite believe this horse is double figures. I know this is a tough race, but this was one I thought I might get quite...
Yeah, I was like, look, hang on a minute, this is quite interesting. As soon as I was going through runner after runner and I landed on him, and I thought, hang on a minute.
Yeah, proper Goodwood horse.
Yeah, proper Goodwood horse.
Conditions.
Run badly there once, but other than that...
You got the feeling...
He's got, yeah.
This might have well been
absolutely,
the angle.
Yeah.
And also, I had a look as well. Richard Hannon, in the past 4 years, he's had 2 winners and a second and a third, and he's only run 6 horses, and this is his only representative. So, Magical Wish, and the other one was
Epic Endeavour.
Epic Endeavour, who is currently a 9-1 shot. Didn't run at Ascot the weekend because of the fast ground. Tom, 20 runners. You can have 2 darts if you like.
Can I have 22 darts? I mean, this is double duck to me, races like this at Goodwood. Oh my God, I have no idea where to start. Keel's made a good case for Magical Wish. The ones I put my pin came down on were on Epic Endeavour. Willie Mew has a very good record when he puts headgear on his horses for the first time, and pieces on it go on Epic Endeavour. Slightly worried about the draw, trap 16. Be Prepared for John Bridger. I thought he'd go well, but I thought International Dream was really interesting for Richard Fahey. Third in the Molecomb here last year. He's the only 3-year-old in the field. Not really used to backing those sort of 3-year-olds from stall 14 in races like this, but I thought he just could be very well handicapped. So I am now going to back Magical Wish as well, because you've taught me onto that one, but I thought International Dream might be the one.
Okay, International Dream is currently a 17-2 shot and has been quite well backed. David, for the last time on day 2, story of the market and some extra places, please.
Yes, well, 5 places each way in the last year. And Be Prepared, who Tom mentioned there, is 12-1. The same price, Magical Wish there, that Keels is very sweet on.
Okay, and do you have any idea at all?
Absolutely no idea at all. If I've had a good day, I will follow Keels over into battle with this one. And if I haven't had a good day, Kills, and you haven't had a good day, I'll leave it alone for you in the hope that it salvages your day and washes away your pain.
Well, I'm glad you're thinking of me, Dave. Thank you very much.
That's very, very sweet of you, David. Lovely stuff. OK, that's pretty much the end of day 2 then. We've got a fantastic Sussex Stakes. We've got big field handicaps. We've got juvenile contests as well. We've got pretty much something for everyone. What we don't have yet, though, is the panel's naps of day 2 for Goodwood. So without further ado, best bets on day 2. Starting with you, Paul Kealy.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I just got an email. I had an email earlier on saying, watching that for tomorrow, and I sent them an answer, and I napped something on Thursday instead. And I've got an email saying, too late, so I've napped in the paper tomorrow, recovery run, but it probably would have been Armour.
OK, so what's the answer?
Armour.
Armour it is.
Or if you pick up the paper and look at the naps table and scroll all the way down to the bottom, it'll probably say recovery run.
There you go. Lovely stuff. That's a vote of confidence. Tom, how many naps do you want? Just one, please.
Just one Nagano for me. I just thought Roger Varian has a good record in this. He brought out Believe in Love, I think, last year to win one of these handicaps at Goodwood that went on to be a group horse. I think Nagano will be the same in time.
OK, and David, nap of day 2?
I'm taking Tom on in the first with Siskani. And just a final reminder, of course, if you are beaten by a length in any Goodwood race this week, you will get your money back as a free bet up to £10. Just that little bit of insurance that we all need.
We certainly do at Goodwood. And I do as well, as I will not learn, and I'm going to go for the 2-year-old races again and hope that Canonised ends my, quite frankly, nightmarish run of unlucky defeats. But it can't be as bad as Desert Dreamer at the weekend, so there is that to go on. So we've got day 2 of a 5-day week at Goodwood. We'll see how the ground goes, we'll see how the draw goes, we'll see who will be top of the pops and with a poetic flair can win another Group 1. And we'll be covering it all once again tomorrow night, as well as we preview day 3 and look back at day 2. This has been In the Know. Thank you to Paul, David and Tom. Thank you to you for watching at home. And don't forget, please gamble responsibly. It's a long old week at Goodwood, and we'll be back tomorrow night for more In the Know.